What's up? Today I'm going to take you through my salary and expenses as a 24-year-old software engineer living in New York City. I created videos similar to this last year, so it's only fitting that I recreate it for 2025 because now I don't have to pay $3,200 in rent every single month. Now, I have seen some crazy software engineer salaries where some people are bringing in more than a doctor, and through my Rolex, you might think I am too, but trust me, that's not the case because these software engineer salaries are extremely inflated. So before you think of making fun of your med school buddies, here's some important information you have to keep in mind, especially when you see these $300,000, $400,000 a year engineer salaries. A software engineer who works at a company in Virginia will earn less than if they work at the same company in New York City. This is because with different costs of living, companies, if they're not cheap, should adjust the engineer salary. And if your company does not do that, that means your CEOs are probably eating all the money. Now, I'm happy to say the company that I'm at, which is a major financial tech company in New York City that you all have heard of, does indeed adjust the salaries based on location. So my salary is fully adjusted. Now, at this company, I'm a full stack engineer. I do work involving big data migrations, logging analytics, working with AWS architectures, creating the UIs of major platforms used by company employees, and more. Now, while this sounds extremely boring, I promise it's a pretty dope job and the work-life balance is great. In the last 2 years that I've worked at the company, I never had to stay past 6 p.m. I only have to go in office twice a week and we don't even have to log our hours. And I'm not gonna lie, and hopefully my manager isn't watching this, sometimes I may have left office a bit early. Now, getting to the salaries, yes, with the S, let's start with my salary when I first joined as an intern and compared to now. As an intern, I was earning $10,000 a month pre-tax as my base monthly pay. And to this day, I still find it absolutely nuts that I was making that much as an intern, because as an intern, I honestly did not do much work. So I don't know why I'm getting paid 5 figures a month to do literally barely anything. Because let's be honest, as an intern, your only job is to center a div and change the color of text. That's probably it. And more than likely, the work you do as an intern is going to get scrapped by the end of the internship. Eventually, I got the full-time offer at the exact same company, and my base salary as a software engineer in New York City back in 2023 was $136,000 a year, which amounts about to $11,333 a month. If you think this sounds great, you haven't heard about the NYC Gobbler. Yeah, that sounds a little weird, but before we talk about the NYC Gobbler, let's talk about my salary right now in 2025, as well as bonuses, because bonuses are a big part of any software engineer's income. Every year, even if you don't get promoted, your salary increases based on merit and inflation rate adjustment. As of February 2025, my base salary increased from $136,000 to $143,000 a year, which is pretty fire. That's about a $7,000 jump. While your base salary is great, some of the fattest paychecks you get are from your bonuses and stock. My company in particular, unfortunately, did not give us any stock when starting at this company. In fact, to get stock, we actually have to buy into it. They don't really give a stock for free. No RSUs here, which is kind of sad because you see these engineers at Google getting like $100,000 worth of stock as a new grad software engineer. But I will say the bonuses made up for it. I got a $27,000 sign-on bonus and a $3,500 end of the year bonus. This means I got paid nearly $30,000 in bonuses, which is about 20% of my full year salary. But remember, you can't forget the NYC Gobbler, who is AKA known as Uncle Sam, otherwise known as taxes. New York City is absolutely brutal when it comes to taxes because anyone who works in the city and city tax. And city tax is something, again, unique to New York City. It's like robbery. Our hard-earned money is going to ugly alleys and 5,000-year-old subways. I don't understand. But you see the streets, half people are homeless. It's wild. So that $27,000 bonus after tax was $16,500. That $143,000 a year, about $12,000 a month salary ends up to being about $7,100 a month after taxes. This is the actual amount that's hitting my bank account bi-weekly. So after all the taxes and 401k savings are taken out. While this does make it sound like I am probably living paycheck to paycheck, you guys might want to start GoFundMe for me. But before you do all that, there are some added benefits that I do get. This includes free movie tickets, 401k match up to 6%, which is big, healthcare, discounted travel, free merch, like a lot of merch and equipment and more. I even got free AirPods. So it's not too bad. So we're now at the point where you know exactly how much I'm earning for my full-time job, how deep my pockets are, but do you know how much I'm spending as someone living in Manhattan, New York City, which according to US News is the most expensive place to live/work in the entire United United States. Oh boy, here we go. This is gonna make your mouth drop. And my parents are watching this, they're gonna be so mad. Starting off with rent, I pay about $3,000 a month in rent plus utilities. Originally, I had to pay $3,200, but since I've been here for about like a year and a half, it's went down. So it's pretty cool. It's a 1-bedroom flat and I live alone. Also, the view is pretty dope. I know what you're thinking. I'm paying an arm and leg every single month. I know, my mother tells me all the time. My next biggest expense last month was shopping. And usually this is not the case. I max spend about $200 a month on shopping. But last month in particular, I decided to treat myself with a Prada jacket, which cost me my liver. It was about $2,000. So my shopping expense last year was literally $2,100. It was just one jacket. Yeah, it was pretty bad. My next big expense is food. I remember in 2024, I was spending about $900 a month on food in terms of groceries, eating out. Now in 2025, I only spend $740 on food per month. Now, the main reason is because in the morning, I drink a 1,200 calorie, 80 gram protein shake. And for lunch, I eat like a $10, 40 gram, 1,000 calorie wrap. So I'm able to have a big breakfast and lunch, which hits my macros I need for the day. So dinner is like 3 to 4 eggs, which is like pretty like not expensive at all. So I don't have to spend too much money when it comes to food anymore. This past month, I even tried a meal prep service that gave me 50% off for 1 week of 2 meals a day. So I had a whole week of eating for about just $100. And I'll be honest, this is my first time trying meal prep and I highly recommend it as it saves you time from cooking and cleaning after yourself. And this is a big psychological advantage because a lot of people who live alone find themselves eating out not because they can't cook, but because sometimes they're just too lazy to do it. And I might be talking about myself here, but if you're with me, comment down below. My girlfriend also came for a weekend, so going to nice restaurants here and there, bars, adds an easy $100 to $150 in just 2 or 3 days of eating. And then I also do use Uber when I'm in a far part of the city or I need to get someplace and I'm feeling lazy. So last month I spent about $80 on Ubers, and on trains I spent about another $80. Yeah, the subway's getting expensive too, even though it's literally 5,000 years old. My personal goal is to minimize the amount I use Ubers and up the amount I use trains because you can get to anywhere in New York City with the subway system. You don't have to use Ubers. I know the subway can be very stinky and rats everywhere, but the Uber can get quite expensive. And finally, the last category expenses, which I classify as miscellaneous, just random things like cleaning supplies or towels, I spent about $50 last month on. I usually do not spend on needless items and I keep my expenses centered around food and travel. So $50 a month makes sense. Now, at this point, you're starting to see how that dream 6-figure software engineer salary is just that, a dream. The world nowadays is so expensive that a 6-figure salary does not amount to financial freedom. It doesn't amount to much at all when you're living in New York City. It's actually, I don't think it's enough. I think if you're making under $120,000 a year as a person in New York City, it's just not enough to really live a comfortable lifestyle. So to solve this entire crisis, I started my own business outside of my software engineer corporate job. I'm going to cover the revenue and expenses I get from that. And you're going to be shocked when you hear some of these numbers. Right now, my expenses amount to nearly $6,000 off of a monthly income of $7,000 after taxes. This is just my corporate job, everything we've covered thus far in this video. But now going to business expenses, last month, my business expenses summed up to $3,176.93. So now, if you calculate my total expenses, you will quickly realize I'm going broke. My last month's expenses were $9,176, while my monthly salary take home is about $7,000. So I'm negative $2,176 a month in debt. Again, before you start GoFundMe, there's a catch. While I spent $3,000 in business expenses, I was also able to make over $20,000 for my business last month, which involves building AI agents for clients that I get from LinkedIn, Reddit, school, and YouTube. I also teach other software engineers how to create AI agents as well, and I charge them, which is also part of that $20,000 I made last month. This means that my total gross income last month was $27,000. So my net income is $17,024. This is after all expenses, but does not include self-employment tax, which we won't get into that in this video because that's just too much to calculate. For a full detailed breakdown of how I averaged $20,000 to $30,000 with just side hustles while having a full-time software engineering job, please be sure to subscribe and hit the bell because my next video will cover exactly that.